Welcome to Spiritual Cooking. This is the show where we celebrate the essence of what goes in your mouth. For me, picking a favorite recipe is a little bit like picking a favorite child, but this is one of my favorite recipes. Today we're going to be doing my healthy trail bars. This recipe is, for the better part, vegan. It does have honey in it, but for those of you that don't want to use any animal products, you can substitute the honey for either agave or molasses. For this recipe, you will need 2 cups of oats, 1 cup of almonds sliced, half of a cup of coconut flakes, which are unsweetened, 1/4 of a cup of chopped walnuts or walnut meal, 1/4 of a cup of flaxseed meal, 1/4 of a cup of quinoa uncooked, half of a cup of chia seeds, and half of a cup of dried cherries. That covers your dry ingredients. For wet ingredients, you're going to need 1/4 of a cup of honey. Like I said previously, if you don't want to use any animal products, you can use 1/4 of a cup of molasses or agave. 1/4 of a cup of molasses, blackstrap is the best. 1/3 cup of agave, 4 tablespoons of coconut oil, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. That covers your ingredients. Let's get cooking. You're going to take all of your dry ingredients and put them in a large bowl. The only dry ingredient you don't want to do this with is your dried cherries. You want to reserve that until a little bit later. So you can mix this part up with your hands. You just want to make sure that this dry mix is getting really well combined. You want to set your oven at 400 degrees, and then you want to put this dry mix onto an ungreased baking sheet. Now you're just going to spread that around. And you want to bake this in the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes, stirring occasionally throughout that cooking time. You just want to make sure that they all get evenly toasted. It brings a really, really nice flavor to the dish. So you want to get a saucepan and you want to set it on about medium-high on your stovetop. Into this saucepan, you're going to put your molasses, the agave, the honey, or if you're not using honey, more molasses and agave, your coconut oil, your salt, and your cinnamon. With the wet ingredients that are going in the saucepan, the only one you don't want to put in here is the vanilla, because vanilla has a tendency when you cook it on high heat like this to lose all of its flavor. So you usually want to add vanilla after the cooking process is done. So you just want to stir this around until it's really well combined, and then you want to bring it to a boil. And you keep it at a boil for about 3 minutes, just long enough to make sure that it's really syrupy. Part of what's so great about this recipe is that this molasses scent will fill up your entire house. It's just so rich and so homey. So as you can see, this mixture is coming to a really rapid boil. which is exactly what we want to see. Now that we've turned off the heat, we're just going to wait until these bubbles settle a bit, until the level of heat has calmed down in this saucepan. And then we're going to add the vanilla. So stir it around and make sure that that vanilla gets in there really well and disperses throughout the mix. And then you can set this aside. We've got 3 minutes left on this dry ingredient, which is cooking inside the oven. So right now we're just going to take a check on it. See how it's starting to brown around the edges? You just want to make sure that you stirred that because the chia seeds fall to the bottom, as you can see. We want to make sure that these all get evenly toasted. It's not certain portions that are burnt and other portions that are too raw. By the smell of it, I can tell that our mix here that is cooking in the oven is done. This is exactly what we want it to look like. Usually the edges are a little bit more brown, but we've got this really nice kind of a tan golden color going on. Nothing is turning super dark brown or black yet, hopefully. So now we take this mix and we go pour it into a bowl. Now that we have this very beautiful mix, and it's well combined, we can add our dry cherries, which we reserved earlier. Now that those are all mixed in, you can mix in the wet ingredients which you reserved. Just pour them right into the bowl. You hear it sizzle. So when you pour this wet ingredients into the bowl, you can hear it start to sizzle. I've always loved that sound. So you just want to spend some time really mixing this in. It'll turn into a really thick, kind of a dough, I guess you could call it. Oh my god, that's so good. I'm not supposed to compliment my own cooking, but my goodness. I really love this recipe. I swear I could take a bath inside of this syrup. Okay, so once you've mixed this all together, you want to take a 9 by 13 inch baking pan. I think glass works the best, and you want to grease it. Coconut butter works really, really well for greasing pans if you're trying to do vegan recipes. So then you want to just place this mix inside the pan, just like you would cake batter. And if you're the kind of person that doesn't like getting messy, you can take a sheet of wax paper and place it over this mix, and then you just want to start pressing really, really hard. But as all of you know at home, I really like getting messy when it comes to food. So I usually wait for a bit until it cools down, and then I start pressing with my hands. Once it's reached the temperature where you can safely put your hands in it and it's not going to scald you, you can just start pressing. Now, we want to pack this as tight as we possibly can, so really put your muscle into this. And it may work for you to come back several times over the next half an hour and just continue to pack it more and more, because it's going to continue to settle as it cools down. Once you feel like you have these trail bars packed to your liking, then you can cover it with saran wrap, and you can do one of two things. Either you can place it on the countertop overnight, or you can put it in the refrigerator for a minimum of 4 hours. And what will happen is they're going to turn into these very, very hard trail bars. So then you can remove them from the refrigerator, and you can cut them into squares and individually wrap them. I wasn't very diligent this week, so I completely forgot to get saran wrap. These trail bars are really, really healthy, and they're a great source of protein for those of you who are vegan. I find that kids love them, people love them, your friends love them if you have them just around the house as snacks. They're also completely fabulous for hiking and camping and river rafting and skiing. So I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. Join us next time for Spiritual Cooking.